Bizzare History Facts Part 13. Until the early 20th century in Mongolia, criminals could be locked up in a wooden box as punishment, sometimes left to die of starvation. Before Abraham Lincoln became a politician, he was a champion wrestler, with more than 300 bouts under his belt. Lincoln only lost one match in his career and was inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in 1992. In ancient Egypt, servants were smeared with honey to attract flies away from the pharaoh. In 1926, Arctic explorer Peter Fruchin was trapped under an avalanche while on an expedition. He escaped from death by fashioning a shiv out of his own feces and amputating his foot. Bizzare History Facts Part 14. In Renaissance France, a woman could take her husband to court if he was impotent. While Pope Gregory IX was in power, he declared that cats were associated with devil worship and had them exterminated across Europe. It's believed that the disappearance of cats helped rats proliferate and spread the bubonic plague. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima when the first atom bomb was dropped. He then traveled home to Nagasaki the day before the second atom bomb was dropped. He survived both and lived to be 93. Jeannette Rankin became the first female member of Congress in America in 1916, 4 years before women were given the right to vote. Bizzare History Facts Part 15. Grigory Yefimovich Rasputin, a Russian mystic and friend to Tsar Nicholas II, reportedly survived being poisoned, shot, and stabbed numerous times before he was finally drowned in the Volga River. 14 years before the infamous Titanic sank, author Morgan Robertson wrote the novella Futility. It was about the large unsinkable ship Titan hitting an iceberg in the northern Atlantic. What's even weirder is the Titanic and the fictional Titan did not have enough lifeboats for the thousands of passengers on board. In 1998, 1,200 bones from some 10 human bodies were found in the basement of Ben Franklin's house. Before you go crafting a murder mystery about the Founding Father, it was revealed that the bodies were used in the study of human anatomy. Bizzare History Facts Part 16. Augustus Caesar was the wealthiest man to ever live in history. Nephew and heir of Julius Caesar, Emperor Augustus had an estimated net worth of $0.46 trillion when counting for inflation. Count Dracula was inspired by a real person. The titular count was based on none other than history's own Vlad the Impaler. As the monarch of Wallachia, a Romanian region of Transylvania, Vlad soon made a fearsome reputation for himself by killing and impaling the still twitching bodies of his enemies on long sticks which he planted outside his castle. The World War II Army of the U.S. is the biggest army in history. Due in part to the surge of American patriotism and because of conscription, the U.S. Army numbered 12 million soldiers by the end of the war in 1945. Bizzare History Facts Part 17. In ancient Greece, wearing skirts was manly. In fact, Greeks viewed trousers as effeminate and would mock any men who wore them. The Vikings were the first people to discover America. Half a millennium before Christopher Columbus, Viking chief Leif Erikson of Greenland landed on the island of Newfoundland in the year 1000 AD. The Vikings under Leif Erikson settled Newfoundland as well as discovering and settling Labrador further north in Canada. The Colosseum was originally clad entirely in marble. When you visit or see the Colosseum these days, you'll notice how the stone exterior appears to be covered in pockmarks all across its surface. The reason for the pockmarks is after the fall of Rome, the city was looted and pillaged by the Goths. They took all of the marble from the Colosseum and stripped it down to its bare stone setting. Bizzare History Facts Part 18. During World War I, the French built a fake Paris, complete with a duplicate Champs-Élysées and Gare du Nord. This fake Paris was built by the French towards the end of World War I. It was built as a means of throwing off German bomber and fighter pilots flying over French skies. Cleopatra's reign was closer to the moon landings than the Great Pyramid being built. The Egyptian royal reigned from 51 BC to 30 BC, roughly 2,500 years after the Great Pyramid of Giza was built and roughly 2,000 years before the first lunar landings in 1969. Shrapnel is named after its inventor. British Army officer Henry Shrapnel was the first person to invent an anti-personnel shell that could transport a large number of bullets to its target before releasing them. Bizzare History Facts Part 19. In 346 BC, Alexander the Great, at the age of 10, after taming a large anxious horse, he was allowed to buy it. He named the horse Bucephalus, and he rode the horse until the battle of Hydaspes in 326 BC, when it died at the age of 30. Alexander later named a city after his steed. The oldest joke dates back to 1900 BC Sumeria. It was an ancient Sumerian fart joke. The tradition of greeting another person by shaking hands dates at least as far back as the ancient Greeks. One column at the Acropolis even shows the Greek goddess of marriage, Hera, shaking hands with the Greek goddess of wisdom, Athena. Despite being built in 280 BC, the Colossus of Rhodes was approximately as tall as the Statue of Liberty. Bizzare History Facts Part 20. In 700 BC, ancient Greeks going off to war gave their wives bread dildos, or Olisbach likes to set them while away. Takeout restaurants existed in ancient Rome, with service counters opening onto the street to pick up food. More than 200 existed in Pompeii, and most of its homes lacked dining or kitchen areas, suggesting that cooking at home was unusual. Archaeologists have found slingshot balls engraved with "take that" or "catch" dating from 4th BC Greece. By 400 BC, Persian engineers had mastered the technique of storing ice in the middle of summer in the desert. The term "heavy petting" originated in the 1920s when men and women would hold petting parties. Bizzare History Facts Part 21. In ancient Egypt, dwarfs were seen as people who had celestial gifts, were treated with the greatest respect, and enjoyed the highest social positions. The Egyptians had several dwarf gods, such as Bes, the god of dreams, luck, and dancing, and Ptah, the god of arts, crafts, and creativity. Spiked dog collars were invented in ancient Greece and were originally designed to protect the dog's throat from wolf attacks. The leather collar was called melium, which was studded with nails. According to the ancient Greek historian Herodotus, the ancient Persians had a ritual of intoxication that requires one to get drunk on wine after making a decision. The purpose of this ritual was to ascertain the usefulness of a decision. Bizzare History Facts Part 22. According to historians, the ink has often attempted to alleviate the trauma of imminent sacrifice in a rite known as kapakocha. As National Geographic explains it, children were customarily given chicha, a potent alcoholic drink distilled from corn, to make sure the sacrifices were fully intoxicated. Tutankhamun, otherwise known as King Tut, is often regarded as one of the best, most well-known pharaohs in all of ancient Egypt. As such, it's fair to picture the young ruler as a man, but King Tut took the throne when he was just 9 years old and died only a decade later. Although the city of Cairo sees temperatures up to 95 degrees Fahrenheit come summertime, the interior of the pyramids of Giza are naturally temperature controlled.